Behind the Hooks. With Manny DeGrandis and Daniel Panetta.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Behind the Hooks. I'm Daniel Panetta.
And I'm Manny DeGrandis.
How's it going, buddy?
Good, man. This is exciting. Full episode 1.
Yes.
Technically episode 2 on the interwebs.
Damn interwebs.
Yes. So, what's been going on? Well, I know something that was going on. We just played a gig together.
Yes, we did.
On Friday.
That was fun.
Yes, just a duo, which is very different for us. Especially considering I've only been in your band for a year now.
You've been. We kind of slid you in. Like it was just like, by the way, you played one gig with us. That's kind of what happens with musicians a lot too, and I think about that a lot. It's almost like you get a vibe with somebody and it gels well on stage, and then it's like it's an unspoken truth. You're just in the group.
Yeah, it's just everybody drives home, and I'm like I remember driving home and being like, okay, I know I'll be on the next one.
Yeah,
right. It was just so smooth. I mean, the boys are freaking awesome. So
so that band is 4-1 Soul, and we play a lot of top 40 and funk and R&B, and we're all kind of like coming from the same background and stuff. So it was a lot of fun. And then this past Friday with the duo stuff, it was just basically a conversation between Manny and I through music.
Yeah, it was a ton of fun. So for those that don't know, we do at the moment, there's a Friday night local series presented by Snap Music, and we were doing them here in the building for the first beginning, and then moved it over to Market Brewing, helped them out. Wonderful people there, and now, if anybody knows, we're in stage 2 again, so the bars are closed indoors. So we will still be doing them Friday nights.
You got one coming up.
Yeah, we're gonna do one. It's with Aaron this week. We're gonna try just doing it just straight online, and see how that goes.
Yeah, man.
But I mean, it's been a lot of fun. So I mean, for me, it's been a lot of fun because I get to just call my buddies up and 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 people, and away we go. And that started pretty funny too, because I just I saw people playing on the driveway, so I called Mr. Ryan Ainsworth up and I said, "Okay, my driveway or yours?" And then he's like, "Sure, next Saturday." And then I called Paul here and said, "Hey, man, let's make this a bit bigger. Let's raise money." I knew through Snap tickets, people could just straight donate into there. Mm-hmm. And then I said, since they got their wallets out, let's add a different charity a week. Local charity. I wanted small charities because they're probably hurting the most, definitely. And it's been fun. That's been a lot of fun. And
what's amazing is, like, even with the driveway stuff, how supportive neighbors are.
Yeah.
Like, you'd think they'd be, because I did a thing with Leo Gray. He was doing a tour from Barrie South.
That was a wonderful idea.
It was awesome. It was in support for MS, and he came to my house up in Barrie, and it was at I think it was at noon or something like that.
Yeah. And
we just went balls out. It was like, nope, we were on my back deck and I don't have a fence. So I'm right by the water, so it's just open. And neighbors were just chilling out on their front porch, and they're just freaking out because it's live music. We haven't seen this in so long.
You didn't warn your neighbors.
No. Why would I do that? That involves interaction with people, Manny.
I have to leave my basement studio. And
I didn't want to do that. Yeah, but my next door neighbor came out and was just like, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" It's getting in trouble. No, basically, and she was super cool about it. And we played for I think half an hour or 45 minutes or something like that. Then he was back on the road heading south. I think he ended up in Toronto or something like that.
Yeah, he kept going down. I saw actually me and the kids and the dog went to go see him when he was at Bianca Rola's house.
Nice.
And got to meet me. Well, actually, the kids got to meet Bianca's baby, and I met the baby before, and it was nice. It was just, it was funny because it was just us in the backyard, me, the kids, the dog, and Bianca and her family, and Leo,
Yeah.
and it was great. And we got to watch it, and it was, half-hour set, and it was nice, especially, at that time we were in full lockdown, so it was nice to actually just see some friends and hear some music,
It's crazy, man. Like I think that in a way, the way that we're finding ways to keep at it, and this goes with the evolution and the way that music has kind of always gone, is that we're always going to find a way to get to people and play for people. And what a lot of people don't understand, and maybe some of the listeners here kind of have a hard time understanding, is that the amount of joy that we get getting on stage and seeing people dancing. And it's not a distraction. It's not anything like that. There's a lot of those pretentious clubs in the city and stuff, but there's something really special about having that kind of environment where no matter where you are, that instinct to get up and want to enjoy it is universal. You know what I mean? So, and the fact that, you're still able to do it every Friday, and even though, it's an online presence, there's still people watching, and it's just like, I feel like I can be there. So
yeah, we have a lot of regulars that come in, and that's just their Friday night, and like there's just what else there to do.
Yeah.
Right. Had somebody say that they order takeout from the bar, get some beer from local brewery, and sit at home, and they like, if we were going to go out, we would go to this bar anyways and drink this beer and watch you guys play.
Yeah.
So we're just going to do it in the backyard, and they were doing that all summer long, and it was what's really amazing is when they take pictures of their laptop or their big screen.
Yeah,
and
they share it to your story. It's like, I got that too, man. That's hysterical.
Yeah,
because before I even knew about this, I was doing like Facebook Live stuff, just kind of like, I was on it for like, I don't know, like sometimes I'd be on for 2 hours because people are throwing requests, and it's just like me trying to figure stuff out. And it's like, all right, that's cool. But, you'll get people just like taking screenshots or taking like video of them watching me on their laptop or something. And then they'll share it to my story on Instagram. And it's really sweet. I love seeing stuff like that.
Yeah, and that goes right back to like you playing, right? Like we were dying to play, so we turn on our phones and point it to us and play and hopefully people show up to watch us. And then, and then as soon as we can start getting that interaction, all of a sudden we're playing better, even though we're still in that same empty room.
Yeah.
And it's like there's a comment, or like they'll do, send hand claps or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, yes.
No, it's awesome. Right? And in the same vein of the music series on Fridays, let's talk a bit about Giggin' Live, because those shows were so much fun.
That was, so I came up with, I guess step back. Like, so me and Ryan did the one Saturday, and we did it at Snapped, and it was just Paul here watching, and we played outside and 8 feet apart, and just did it right. And then as soon as we ended, Paul was like, that was way too much fun. We're doing this every week. Let's do it every Friday.
Awesome.
And then Ryan said, okay, I'm not going to do every Friday. It's going to get tiring for the people. So then I just started, okay, and then I got Glenn, then I got Ryan the third week, and then I just kept going down a list. And first it was duos, and then trios, and then full bands. 4-1 Soul was actually the first full band to do it.
That worked out amazingly.
Yeah, and that was a lot of fun. And I guess we had Jeff Cox sub in for the first time.
Yeah, it was the first time that configuration of the group got together, and it couldn't have gone better.
The next time we did it was at Giggin' Live with Jeff, right? But Giggin' Live was Paul's idea. Paul, this was a fantastic idea, and I don't think people really understand the full idea of it. So it was 4 to 10. Mm-hmm. And the reason why was what we decided with Paul mostly was, let's bring the music to the bars. So we're going to go on Facebook Live for 6 hours. And a lot of the patios were open and all that, and they had screens outside. And they said, why don't they live stream it to their patio? So the 4 o'clock after work crowd, or at that time, not too many people were working on the first one, they could sit there, watch a show for 6 hours, and we are bringing the music to you. Now, we did sell tickets and have the live spot, but we wanted all the bars, around town to live stream it.
Yeah.
And there's your music, right? You can't have the band in there, but here are all these local familiar faces. And I guess the first one was like, 8 bands or something. And then what we also did was we learned how to do Jesse, with cutaways. So we actually had some Snapped employees run around to Market Brewing and I think the OV, I think it was, and Cache and have a quick, hey, here we are, on the patio at Cache, and if there's still time to come and catch the rest of the show here on the big screen, and here you go. So that was the original idea. Didn't take off as much that way, and then we ended up doing 3. Then Paul snaps and is like, okay, let's do one at the end of the next month, and then at the end of the next month. But the last one we had to move locations. Yeah. And we did it at Market Brewing, which was actually fantastic for everybody. Really won. They have it ended up really working out there because they have this back area with the grass. So it was like the amphitheater in some ways.
Yeah, it really did. It felt like a mini amphitheater. It was awesome. One of the great things about that I found was, in doing like telethons and stuff like that, and you're doing like those TV shows where that run for 6 hours, that run for 8 hours, and it's just like a festival or something like that. The chaos that happens backstage is a real thing. Like you are walking over people. Yeah. You're trying to get to the next cut. You're trying to get to the next group in time. There was something, and I'm speaking just based on what I saw. I don't know what you were going through, but there was something really. There was an ease about it where, we were all friends, we're all hanging out. It was as much a hang as it was, us doing our thing. But there was no pressure because, I did, the Guinness thing and like they're trying to do the longest concert and stuff like that. And it was just a chaos. And like by the time you get on stage, you're shaking because you're full of anxiety and stuff, right? Yeah. There's something really beautiful about the events that you guys have been putting on that as an audience member and as part of it, it was just... I loved watching the show as much as I loved being part of it.
Yeah, and I've gotten some flack with whatever. Why haven't you invited me or whatever? But it's because, it's
that's a thing. That was a thing.
That's
Seriously.
how I knew, and that's how I knew things were going well is when people started hating you.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, but it's funny because like. When I started calling people for the first one, essentially everything that all of the Friday nights and everything, it was basically me giving back to the people who've hired me over the years, right? Yeah. We're hurting. Let's all, and I was trying to get whatever, like just people that are hurting, right? Like financially hurting and dying to play and need to be heard. And then with gigging, was called, just went down the list of friends. I'm like, hey, Ryan, you free? Hey, Randy, you free? Boyle, you free? And, and then adding, Aaron and Beresfords and everybody's just like, yeah, I'm in, whatever. And then like, Pat James, says to me, he's like, oh, I didn't even know we were going to get paid. That was awesome, right? Because it was such a fun day. And it was just like, and then that's why we kept doing them. And everybody was there, everybody's there to have fun and party and laugh and catch up. And it was like, hey, you guys are on in 5 minutes. And they'd be standing side stage ready to go, even though we were having such a party on the outside or backstage or side stage, just laughing and joking and stuff. There were definitely a lot of work for myself and Jesse.
Yeah.
Not doubt. Only, and the funny thing is too, because like Jesse, because he was like, okay, I'm going to do the live stream. And then people are like, hey, come on up and play. Well,
yeah, I totally called him out. I said to him beforehand, I said, when you have a second, I get it. You got to do setups and stuff, but like, come sit down at the keys, we'll turn it into 5-1 Soul right quick. And he did, and it was awesome. He just hopped over I have this image in my head. It's probably not the right memory, but I have this memory that I want to commit to. And if he ever corrects me on it, I'll be pissed at him. But I have this memory of him like totally like leapfrogging over the chair to get onto his keys and to just come in on Sunday morning.
I feel like that's what happened. I wasn't looking that way, but he totally started that song.
Yeah.
And all of us
Yeah, we just
were
like, oh!
all right, there we go. Yeah, exactly.
It was a lot of fun, man. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's weird, like, sitting at, you open Facebook and it's like, oh, memories and people putting up their memories. I'm actually looking forward to a year from now and people being, yeah, this was like the greatest,
Dude, it's going to go down in history.
Yeah.
I really do think so. And I think that it's going to pick up. It's going to pick up in a weird way, and almost like a Van Gogh or Picasso kind of way, where like after this is all said and done, the appreciation is going to really start flooding in. Because, I mean, you not only kept musicians in a state of mind to have something to look forward to, but you get an audience giving them something to do on a Friday night instead of sitting at home and like self-isolating and stuff like that. And the fact that, you guys kept it safe.
Yeah.
And you're really, really conscious of that, and as stressful as that can ever be, managed to help us forget but it's weird. We forgot about what was going on, but we were very conscious about the safety of it all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It became a norm. And there was something really fun about it where, even whether you're doing bar, club, arena gigs, whatever the case may be, there was something really fun about being part of it. And I think it's going to be one of those things where, next year, knock on wood, when this all lifts and gets let up, that it's going to be like news stations are going to pick it up. And like people are going to be talking about this for a long time.
Yeah, it was, they were over the top to do though, like for having, I don't know how many bands, 7, 8 bands and all that. It was, that part was a lot, but I was just like, I can't leave this person. Okay. But apparently I've left people out then.
But it's a labor of love, right? It's not like, there are worse stresses. What we were going through before this thing this was a thing, that pocket of time in the spring where nobody knew anything. We didn't know what to do. We didn't know how to move anything, right? We just, we kept our fingers crossed, and we lost all our gigs. We lost, everything got pushed to next year for anything corporate anyway. And it was like, what the hell are we going to do? And then all of a sudden, hey, you do FaceTime?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, man. Okay, what's up? I'm doing this series thing. And it's like, yeah, I'm in. It's like, I'm in.
Everybody was, I mean, we've, the videos, the Facebook videos that everybody jumped on. That was great.
Let's chat on that for a sec, because that was a lot of fun too. That kind of happened because I saw it done badly a lot. And there's a lot of cool opportunities. I shouldn't say badly. There was a lot of cool opportunities that were being missed.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people were like, okay, they don't have a DAW, and for those people who don't know what a DAW is, it's a digital, it's a workstation, like your recording software, or they didn't have the gear set up to be able to do something like that. So what I started doing was basically asking you guys, send me your videos. If you can send me separate audio, bonus. If not, it's fine. And I think one of the first ones we did was with Jack, you and myself, with the tribute to Little Richard, and mixing those as much as it goes on forever. It was a lot of fun too, because it's like, okay, this is the best we're gonna get for right now. This is the closest I'm gonna get to playing with my friends.
Yeah,
and it was just that kind of energy. Just it got me through that time and gave me something to do.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, it was like, it took me 8 hours to edit, but it was like, what else would I be doing?
What am I doing? Exactly, I'm not doing anything else.
So many likes and comments and happiness. Like I still. Because you randomly run into people. I haven't seen people since March, right? So then, sending message, or if I see them now, they're just like, thanks for like making it easier on me. So like I remember exactly. I've been saying to myself, I want to get home recording studio, something, small, record some stuff. And then, COVID happens. And the next day I'm driving, Markham, which was kind of dumb because I walk into someone's house and I bought their, used iMac, and I'm like right in the heat of it, right? But I'm like, I didn't know how long until everything was going to be shut down,
Right.
like so I got myself a Mac, and then I got myself, a little setup, and then I had to learn that setup.
Yeah.
So what did I start? I started doing my videos. I'm like, okay, well, if I play bass alone for the whole song, then I could get someone to sing over it. So I did 3 that way. I guess I did Laura Wilson, and then Ryan.
Wicked videos. Check those out, people, because they're so good.
And then Kara Lee, and that was a fun one because we did Delight. Groove is in the Heart.
Groove is in the Heart.
And then we had special appearance by Leo. And that was actually funny that you mentioned that, because I kind of, he was doing the whistle part, and it wasn't exactly lined up, and because I was learning and whatever. And I was just like, well, my mindset too was like, well, whatever, like it's not perfectly lined up, the video with the sound, but I don't know at this point. But then, like you said, people were like building it up and getting better. So, you had to up the game.
Exactly.
So, yeah. And then I did some like space videos that I've always wanted. Like, I learned Across the Universe from the Beatles a million years ago. And I was like, finally I have time to finally record that and put that up. And, so that, it's weird. Like we were all jumping around to get and keep ourselves inspired and having fun and feeling important.
Yeah. Well, kind of the same vein of that. I had just moved into my house January 1st. It was New Year's Day. It was when I moved into my place in Barrie. And then I had, I don't know, we gigged up until February, I think end of February, something like that at the OV. And then, it hit the fan. And it was just like, okay. Because I remember we were going to play the March gig, and I found out the Tuesday that they were shutting down. And there goes my first show. And then all the rest of the shows for the rest of the year. So I didn't even have my studio set up yet. I had nothing set up at that point. I just moved in. I was still moving, like trickling boxes in and stuff like that. Didn't even know what room I was going to use. And I was just like, what? Okay. So on one hand, it gave me the time to set everything up. But at the same time, it's like, okay, so in terms of like my production stuff, producing people, it was very minimal.
Yeah.
I hadn't really dabbled in like full productions or anything like that. And I was really scared too, because of how hard I am doing it on my own. Yeah. That like, I can't, my biggest fear is making somebody else sound less than what they are. Yeah. Right. So in doing this, it's like, okay, so start off with something like the rock and roll thing, where it's like, you could be sloppy and still have a good time, and it's going to be appreciated in a way. When we started getting into like arrangements, I was like, because now things have to be tight, right? Yeah. So like when we pulled off, like when you and I did Let's Stay Together, that was kind of like the first inkling of like, okay, so we've got, there's a groove there. So like I can figure this out. And then those kept happening. And then other people started contracting me to do theirs. They'd send me all their raw files, and then I'd start doing it that way. And it's like, okay, so I'm getting the gist of it. And then people are like, I just finished writing an album, because what else are you doing during COVID, right? So they just finished writing an album. I went into the studio, hear the raw files, and now I'm producing people for their records, right? It's like that's kind of like how it snowballed that way. Was not expecting it. I was expecting to sit in depression for like 4 months. Exactly. Like that's literally what I was gonna do.
Yeah, for real, right? And it's funny because I think if you stayed relevant, like I got a lot more work because I was putting work out. I did. Oh my God, I don't know. I was sitting there one day practicing, and the Archie Bunker theme comes out of my thing. So I was like, "What is this?" Oh, I'm like, "Oh my God, it's All in the Family." So I put it on my Instagram feed. I'm like, if you know this melody, you're old, right? And people are getting, I know. And I got a lot of those. And I'm like, well, I'm there too, right? Exactly. I played those notes, da 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 da. And then it just became a thing. I ended up doing it every day. And then it was just like, oh man. So I did, name that theme song every day in my stories. And
Those were fun.
people loved it. And I love doing it because once again, you feel important and you know, but with all that and the videos and stuff, then I'm getting all these guys that probably, that if everybody's running around and they'd be using their own bass players and whatever. And I'm getting these guys calling me to record some bass and this and that, and because either their bass player doesn't have the setup or I was just so in their face, they're like, let me just ask this jackass. I know I'm never gonna do it.
Yeah.
So, but
Oh man, yeah. Like I don't know what it was. I think a lot of it was 50% us just wanting to be heard again, and then that other 50% of just like it's just watching people who aren't musicians go through that and just like watching people fall apart. It was so necessary that we did what we did. Yeah. And in looking at look here, I'm gonna rant for a second.
all right.
So you go on to these shows that are trying to figure their stuff out. I don't want to call out anybody specifically or any promotion companies or anything like that, but like you're talking label signed artists, professional recording artists who are getting asked to do like an online concert. They were garbage. Yeah. They were so garbage, man.
It was bad.
They couldn't get anything right. It's like, you mean to tell me that you can put on a live network television show, even if it's pre-taped, which most of those performances were anyway, you had nothing more to do than what you usually do. What happened? Like, they were garbage. And watching them, I was just like, I'm melting at the face. There were times, like, I had to walk out of the room. Yeah. Because it's just like, it's so cringy.
So bad.
So cringy. Their cutaways were awful. And it's just like, okay, I get it. You're doing something that, is this really, though, the way that you want to do it, the way you want to go about it? Because on such a smaller scale, with what you guys did here.
Yeah. It's like,
Figured it out after what, 2-3 shows?
Exactly. Exactly.
Like, honestly, I don't know. I can go on about that for like 60 years, just talking about how disappointed I am with a lot of the industry producers that could have done so much better and didn't jump on an opportunity for people who have cable television.
Jumping on opportunities. That's what I'm all about.
Yeah, man. Look, there is no. We are the closest thing to prostitution, I think, without having to touch people. Like,
but I know you've been touched on stage, and we'll talk about that on a later episode.
Yeah. So, let's talk. I want to see if I can start a segment.
Okay.
Called On This Day in Music History.
Ooh.
And if it doesn't catch on, tell me to shut up when I start talking about it, but I want to talk about it. Because on this day in music history, today being October 22nd, the day of this recording, not the day of this release, on this day in music history, it was 1966 that the Supremes were the first female group to hit #1 on the U.S. charts, knocking off the Beatles. Knocking the Beatles right off the top of the charts.
Revolver, eh?
Yeah, in 1966, like the 2-year period of them coming to the United States, getting knocked off the charts by a female group, which was humongous.
Yeah, it never happened.
No, Supremes A Go-Go. That was the album. And I think that's an important one. There's a lot of things that happened today, actually.
Oh, do tell.
Today was the day in 1969 that, speaking of the Beatles, Paul McCartney came out and said, "I am not dead."
Lies.
All right, talk about it. All right, hold on, because there is a method here. Okay, we briefly talked about this, and you have actual, like, there's a technical reason why you think he actually died.
No, it's funny. Growing up, you get it. I become a huge Beatles fan. Then you start reading, the stuff, and I was like, wow, that makes sense if he died, right? Because his bass playing got so much better after they said he died.
All right, how so? How does bass player get better?
It was just, I mean, okay, their style changed. People are like, no, but I really like, I don't think the original Paul McCartney could have wrote something baseline,
Okay.
or Rain, or, like he got super busy, and so much more melodic. Not to say like his early stuff wasn't as obviously as melodic. Now the tunes were different and less psychedelic and more to the point and poppy. But I think, I don't know. I mean, that was my whole thing. I was just like, the bass lines don't lie.
Okay, so when the Beatles broke up, right? What was that? 71? What year was? That was probably around there or something. When the Beatles finally broke up, and the Beatles fans are probably going to be on me about that. Yeah. Bring on the hate, people. Come on. And you got into Wings.
Yes.
Okay. I feel like, the Wings music was definitely in Paul's vein. It's definitely one of my favorite eras of Paul McCartney was when he was in that band. Do you think that maybe it could have been that the American influence, like being in America for so long at that point and hearing other bass players? I mean, at that point you had like Jamie Jameson that was just like in his face all the time and like, listening to those groups.
Well, he was already a fan because, I mean, they re-recorded a bunch of the original Motown stuff, right?
Right.
I don't know. I mean, obviously, music changed so much from 64, 65 to 60, and then to 67. It was like, whoa, what happened there, right? Like, so, I mean, the best thing about the Beatles was the way they evolved. Mm-hmm. Like, you got to listen to those albums from, record one to the end, to the Abbey Road, and, then you'll see, like, that's exactly what happened in music. They were on top of it. They
were trendsetters, that's for sure.
Yeah, and definitely, and they were a little late on the hippie movement. Not like, once again, you got to watch what you say with Beatles stuff, but they ended Revolver with Tomorrow Never Knows, and I remember watching this video. It could have been the Grateful Dead or something, and they were like, new Beatles album, they listened to it. And then Tomorrow Never Knows is on the last track, and they're like, oh, they're on, man. They're down, man. They're game. They get it. They're joining in. They're all over this, right?
Yeah.
And then, of course, Sgt. Pepper's came out and, just whatever.
Yeah, that changed a lot of things. It definitely changed my opinion on the Beatles. I was always a big fan of the Beatles' early stuff, just because of the type of music era-wise that I was growing up in.
Yeah.
With Elvis and Buddy Holly and Bill Haley and the Comets and stuff like that. The very happy and very, conservative rock and roll that was the early 60s and late 50s. However, when we're talking harmonies and speaking like a vocalist, the harmonies that were coming out later on when they were getting on top of the hippie movement, those very nice, open, widespread, complex harmonies that they were just building on top of each other with. That spoke to me in a completely different way that those earlier records couldn't.
Yeah.
There was harmonies, don't get me wrong, but you're talking like dominant 7 chords, and it's just like, things with motion, it's moving to another chord, and it's, like it was all fine and dandy and stuff. But like when you're getting into, Tomorrow I Never Know, even Sgt. Pepper's, like it was unbelievable the way that they were able to kind of bring that part of their musicality to the forefront. And I think that was really important in a lot of other musicians kind of jumping on that bandwagon, and therefore us having bands like the Eagles and, getting into huge complex harmonies.
Well, the 70s was all about that, man.
Yeah.
Holy jeez, I never heard men sing so high.
Yeah.
Holy man.
Yeah.
Jeez, like Man,
well, we
like-
wouldn't have hits. Like, we wouldn't have the Bee Gees. We wouldn't have
Oh,
stuff like that if it wasn't for that experimental time. Because there was an experimental time all around throughout all of pop culture, not just in music,
Yeah.
in film, in cinematography, in acting, in food, in everything. The way that we absorb media. 1967, 68 was like people were starting to get woke. Like people were starting to talk about things that mattered, and in
I
turn,
think that was all Vietnam. It was just
Totally.
It was the wrong war, and everybody started getting mad and loud. And
it's totally what it
Yeah.
was, man. Because like you're talking 1966, I think Nam started, and it went on for 10 years. So from 66 to 76, think about what was going on Homeland. And how people were just like the war songs were coming out. Like Bob Dylan was just like num 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 num.
That
Paul
whole
Simon and like all those guys were just like, yeah, I got something to say. I'm gonna say it,
Yeah.
and I don't care what my A&R guys say at the labels. And that's the thing too. This is the thing that blows my mind if we're speaking historically, right? When you got the jazz cats of that era from like 59 onward, where you got people like Coltrane and Miles Davis, and having to kind of like shield back what they wanted to say. And then when all of this stuff started hitting the fan, like you're talking about artists that would go into the A&R's office with a gun. Nina Simone shot a dude at the record label because she wasn't getting her money or something like that, right? But that was the kind of like the outcry, you know what I mean? It allowed, allowed another way for us to use that outlet to kind of like slap back at the music industry, because up until the Beatles came to the States, there were just writers in the background that wrote for the label, and they wrote for the white radio stations, they wrote for the black radio stations. The same song come out the same year. Big Joe Turner and Bill Haley and the Comets coming out with Shake, Rattle, and Roll in 1954. Same year. It basically covering Big Joe Turner. And that's because they didn't write the songs. There was some Lieber and Stoller or whoever it was in the back writing those songs, and the labels, and they worked for the labels. How do we get the most money? Well, we pitch it to both performers so we can get on both radio stations, get the most exposure. Exactly. And it's just like, wow, you cheeky bastards.
and it's funny, that's still happening today.
It is.
Kendrick Lamar's got that line, about, you got ghostwriters, right? And
totally.
It's like, someone, a rapper with a ghostwriter. And it's so funny because, when rap came out, it was just like, when you listen to like, I love listening to hip hop.
Yeah.
That song, the message is like there's a reason why there's a short version and an 8-minute version.
Yeah,
Okay. That's
yeah.
like, it's just the lyrics just, they're just, okay. They run out of things to sing. Right. But they kept going. And it was all from the streets and all that. And now to have people ghostwriting, it's just,
Where's the pride?
but that's the way it is. Right.
Yeah.
And, the people.
Think about that movement too, the hip hop movement. So it's almost so. And you know what? I'll explain it in a second. I'll let you get angry for a minute, and then I'll explain it. It is so almost parallel to the hippie movement. The way that the hip hop movement happened, it was the outcry, it was the anger, it was all of that. It was people who had something that they wanted to say, especially in the West Coast, where people were getting killed for no reason. Unlike not unlike the Vietnam War, where there was an unnecessary war, and it's almost like music has that way of kind of doing that full circle of repeating itself, and whether it's stylistically or message or whatever the case may be, even playing styles. There's a pocket of time in like the early 2010s or something like that where like I thought, okay, big band's coming back.
Oh yeah,
what the hell is going on? Like
that was crazy. Like
Snarky Puppy was coming out huge, and who else is coming? There was like 6 or 7 bands that I was like constantly going to see in Toronto when I was still at Humber, and it was just like, oh, what is happening? But like again, completely different take on it. Yeah. But like the concepts there, like, and it was really cool. And it's still kind of weaving its way through even now into 2020. But yeah, I always think that it's going to go through that cycle. Country music has its way of kind of just steamrolling through. But yeah, I always found that. See, I explained myself. Okay, that's the point of what I'm saying. Yeah. The hip hop movement in the early '80s and the Vietnam era was a really interesting parallel in the music world because there was something to say at that time, and I think that's what angers me the most about what's going on in the music industry today is there's not enough people that are saying.
I think a lot of people are just scared.
Which is weird.
And a lot of people, I don't know. That's a very strong point. I know some people that are releasing stuff that is very their beliefs and their views, but I don't think, what Foo Fighters came out with, like a song. Would it matter? Would it help? How angry can they get? How like this? It just reminded me of, like, I don't know, a month and a half ago or something. I was like, Rage Against the Machine were supposed to get back together, and we couldn't have asked for a better year for them, right?
Right.
Like, though they, a voice like that we expect that from them or whatever. Like, it's very hard. Dixie Chicks.
They could just drop an album.
Well, yeah, and they had to change their name. But remember when they were like, bubblegum country music. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah,
when they first came out, and then they were against George Bush, and they said some things, and it literally ruined their whole career. So
yeah,
no matter how angry you are, if you are a pop star or just a regular rock star, I don't think you're allowed to get that angst and mad and vocal. Like, you could put some things on Twitter, but I don't think you're allowed.
Musically, you're saying, like,
by the company, or if you're just willing to lose it all.
We call that Sinead O'Connoring your career.
Exactly, right? Unfortunately, there's a whole backstory to her. And she finally was able to speak about all that. But holy shit! But how friggin' heavy was that? Only the '90s kids know.
Saturday Night Live, man, I'll never forget it.
But that's the end of. I feel like that's the end of the anger era in music. I guess it's still in hip hop, but I still feel like half of it's fake. But
it's just brought on by whatever the past music was, and just trying to piggyback off that a little bit. You're saying?
Yeah, it's just, I don't know, man. Just when people were angry. Rock and roll was angry,
yeah.
Timmy C from Rage Against the Machine got mad that they didn't win an award and just ruined the live feed of MTV Awards, and just sitting on an amp and rocking on it or whatever, and then they had to pull them out. You're not going to get that anymore.
That's weird.
And it's, because we're, just talking about Vietnam and like all those guys, man, holy. Some of the things they let record in words, was like, whoa.
Okay. Think about the equivalent of that though. Basically saying what they said in our terms now would be the equivalent of just dropping middle finger on national television to your government. That doesn't go over so well. Especially with the government that they've got going on now, where they take everything so literally.
They always did. They're the ones who killed John Lennon.
Boom.
Bob.
Are we seeing? Did you see what happened here? Did you guys just witness this? You guys just witnessed this? This show just became a conspiracy show. That's what happened here.
And you know what? Maybe we should end on that note. Feel free to let me know in the comments what you might or might not think of that.
No, just talk about his beautiful hair and what shampoo he uses. That's what we're going to talk about.
But as you know, we did mention we were going to support new music and hopefully unsigned music. And we're going to end every episode on someone's new track. Now, lucky for you, I'm with Daniel Panetta, who's going to release the song very shortly. So we'll be ending one of our episodes with that. So, but this week, very dear friends of ours, Sweet and the Big Bad.
So good. So good.
I got to actually play with them, a sub in with them on Gigging Live 1 because Matt Powers was doing a boys weekend or something.
Nice flex.
And it was funny because, you know, I asked them to do the duo, and then they're like, well, Jeff Cogg's around, and then, you know, and then. So it was Wednesday night before the Friday night. I am sitting up all night listening and learning their tunes. And I had a friggin' blast, and it was so much fun. And but they just released a song. It's called "Spinning on a Sunday." I got to play that one live, and it's fun. But apparently, the way they recorded it was they just did it at home. And Matt Powers, the real bass player of the band, the bigger man than I am, sexy macho man. He did a lot of the editing and mixing, apparently.
Nice.
And everything. The video is super cool. So we'll be playing the video, and that's how we're going to end off this week's episode. So, and there, you can look them up on everything, Spotify, blah, blah, blah. Sweet and the Big Bad, and we'll put a link and all that stuff. So goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
And goodbye to you.
Behind the Hooks. With Manny DeGrandis. And Daniel Pineda.
Listen to the sound that the radio plays.
Can't help thinking, reminisce about the old days.
140 grapes spinning on the table.
Yours for the taking if you're willing and able.
Gonna get so high, leave it all behind.
Ain't no reason why. Spending on a Sunday. Gonna get so high, leave it all behind. Ain't no reason why. Spending on a Sunday. When the world gets dark, you wanna fall apart. Turn the little light on. Spending on a Sunday.
Drive roll down a rebel gypsy on the freeway.
Catching fire, spinning dials on the shortwave.
Waiting for the man to drop the needle.
Can't compare today, cause you know it ain't equal.
Gonna get so high, leave it all behind.
Ain't no reason why. Spending on a Sunday. Gonna get so high, leave it all behind. Ain't no reason why. Spending on a Sunday. When the world gets dark, you wanna fall apart. Turn the little light on. Spending on a Sunday. You'll get so high, leave it all behind. Ain't no reason why. Spending on a Sunday.